something obviously we wanted to discuss, which is sort of the traditional argument of like organic versus mineral salts. What would you think then, given your expertise and experience, then would you say would be the best things to be producing these medicines on? I know you might have a slight bias here, but
I was just going to say, definitely not an expert. No one's ever an expert. The more you know, the less and all that shit. But yeah, it depends what you're going for in theory. So obviously with organics, it's a lot more of a slow process. I think you definitely need to chat to someone that knows organics a lot better, because there's some kids that I chat to where they get into the soil science and it's a different ball game. But it is a lot of like, I always say, don't matter how organic you want to be, because there are varying levels of organic. If you have a deficiency, whack a mineral and it's gonna get in there a lot quicker. Do you get what I mean? Ultimately, your plant, I always say, it's like if we go out now before the gym or something and we have a big scram and you eat a load of beef and I eat a load of chicken, look at our cells. We've got protein in us. We've not got beef cells in us or chicken cells in us. Ultimately, it don't know where it took it from. And I feel like that's the same with the plant. Ultimately, it takes up nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. It doesn't really. Obviously, it's better to get it from a cleaner source than a shitter source. There's varying levels of sources, but it doesn't exactly know that it's got that from. If you're doing Korean natural farming and you've put banana peels in there, or if you've actually whacked in a PK booster, it just knows that, oh, I've got PK and it was ultrally available right then and there. With organics, it's sort of, you've got to go through the time and break it down. But then again, where you sort of look at regulations and that, so for a crop to be, basically all hydroponic crops can be labelled organic in America, so for like their food crops. So anything that's grown in polytunnels with big like vertical farming and stuff like that, it's labelled organic as hydroponic. I'm not sure if they've changed it or whatever, but this was the case last year. So then you just sort of look at it like, so is hydroponic fully organic? Because I'm sure you could use, like, I know organic growers that are doing really well on Instagram and stuff like that, and they'll give it a little tickle with a little booster that we all fucking know and love. And so I think it's one of them. It's people always say organic's cleaner. I don't think that is the case. I think it's what you're into. I've never grown organic, so I don't really want to get into that too much. But I do think it's sick. I do think I've seen people where they do struggle with organics, turn off it straight away. They start saying, oh shit yield, shit. Ultimately, we used to have people all the time come in and they'd buy the full range of an organic brand. And then I'd go to offer them this one product that was the dairyest product in the range. And they said, oh, no, it's too dairy. I'm just going to do it with this. And that one product is where you get your yield from with that certain organics range. Yeah. So you're like, there's that little bit, and then you see a lot of people where they're running organics, where they've got they've gone with a sick living soil company, they've tested their soil, they've got it all bang on, and then they've put it in a 20-litre pot or an 11-litre pot. And with organics, it's very much on your battery size, to my understanding. Sort of the bigger the pot, the more organic activity you get going on there, the better that it goes. So if you've got it in a 20-litre pot, and then you're fuming that every few weeks you're having to put more nutrients in because you've got deficiencies, so you will end up switching to a mineral because it gets it in quicker. And ultimately you'll go and tell all your mates, oh, fuck this range, fuck that range, because you don't like organics. You just didn't really do it right.
Yeah. No, I think
I think a lot of the time mineral, it's a lot of organics you can get in a bottle, but with mineral it's sort of, you can get it there, you can put it in drippers. It's a nice overall sort of happy thing.
It's I feel mineral feeds are a lot more plug and play, a lot more forgiving. There are a lot
of stress as well.
Sorry,
go on. I was just going to say that we are like as close to organic as you can get without the certificates. It is all naturally derived, but it is considered a mineral feed over an organic feed.
Yeah. And I think, again, for clarity's sake for people at home, that it's becoming another one of those false binaries, really, as organics and mineral. Because a lot of the organic sources are mineral derived. It's just it's in sort of composition, but generally, as Lewis was sort of saying there, you've got your three primary elements, which will take a plant from seed to its inevitable evolution, in the same way with which I could eat rice every day and still live for years to come. but I would grow to have deficiencies, weaknesses. I would limit my overall potential and lifespan, etc. I'd say, yeah, first time growers probably go with minerals, just like for exactly what you say. Understand what the plant is saying, how it's talking to you, because anything from once you've got plenty of years experience, you can basically pick up your pot. Do you know what I mean? You pick up your pot and look at it, and then they're the two things, and you go, wait, that's slightly heavier than it should be at this point. She's logging water. Why? Why she's pushing? She's locked out this nutrient crap. I need to do. Like you need to
can learn all the other aspects of growing before, because I do think that is a big thing. Like one of the reasons I love our range, when I first ever used it a while back now, I got told to use it. We had 100 litre flexi tank, a 10 litre jug, and they were saying pour it for 3 and stir it till the stick flashes. They didn't have a clue how to use it. We didn't have a feed chart in sight, but ultimately we could spend time on dialing in the room and making sure that we was getting like growth techniques in and stuff like that. And I do think that's the thing where you can get so deep into it you can't see the wood for the trees. And as a first time grower or something, I always have like an example of sort of like, we've got a product, so our Sumo Boost and Sumo Active Boost. Our Sumo Boost was our original boost product, and it's formulated to stay stable in your tank for 24 hours. You basically make a mix, hand feed, use that. Sumo Active Boost we've developed there. It'll stay stable in your tank for like 7 days, up to 14, but we recommend using it within 7. And it's perfect for drippers, it's perfect for systems. So I've always got an argument of I want like the lowest common denominator. So if there's a nervous little kid that walks into a shop one time and he's doing a school project, he's a bit nervous and he just wants to, have you got that Sumo? I've heard that's good. He gets it, he takes it home and he puts it into his drippers. And then it might block his drippers because the shop didn't know to mention that to him. Do you get what I mean? So I think with stuff like that, it's like, go for what will apply for the most. So I had one of the nutrient companies that he's just starting out and he's saying that we're all ripping everyone off because it's watered down. You only need 0.01 mil of mine. And I was like, right, but then if someone pours it for 3, like how I first started, you're going to burn your plants. You need to be accommodating across the board. And I do feel a lot of the times you can get sucked into like a hype range, or my mate said, as we all say in the industry, we've all heard that, the forums told me and all this, and ultimately get your shit dialed down first. Get photosynthesis, your plants feed from the light, get everything else dialed in first.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's have a holistic thing. Listen to other people, but by all means, do not follow every bit of advice, because every grower, you get 10 growers into a room and point them at a plant, you'll get 10 different fucking responses. Or maybe if you're lucky, if there's 2 really skilled people or experienced, skills maybe not necessarily the right thing. If you've got enough experience, I know people that, bless them, and because they get to like 90% and never bother to push. Do you know what I mean? They're like, well, that's enough for me, and I'll let a few bits go out, but it's mine. I'm like, but you could. And they're like, nah. But they know everything else. They can point in a heartbeat everything else. They're just almost, I don't want to say lazy. They're lacking their motivation for themselves to push it over.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They could do it at the flick of a switch, and they just, everything I need to change in my life, I'm just waiting for the right time.
Yeah, stubborn kind of people. Quite a few of them. Northerners tend to be, but yeah. So you get a couple of people would then maybe be able to identify the same thing. But yeah, generally keep it simple. Stupid is the expression.
That's it. The KISS principle.
Start with your small few basics. Run the same thing. Don't go after one cycle. It's shit. Run the same thing twice. Run it 3 times. I ran through minerals for a year before I had the confidence to then switch over to a very complex organics range. And then I went through a few, and I'm going to say the devil word here to you guys, but my preference is BioBiz. I highly rate BioBiz. I've got to a point I don't need the feed charts anymore. I can eyeball everything. I can tell by when I do run potentially, allegedly, a variance of cultivars, so they all have different requirements. So it's then hand fed and hand experience. You take a few minutes with each plant. You kind of look at its development, its progress.
That one needs that.
Yeah, and generally even you don't have to even clock what week it is. If you get yourself a little bud scope or something like that, once you get good to growing, or to how you grow is probably a better way of saying it, because I know some amazing growers on, again, another devil word, and there's a lot that comes out with them. But if you know how to use Athena properly, you can use Athena to get a good quality. I know a couple of guys that swear by that shit, And then every time they put something up, a million people are like, "Wow, devil cardboard terms," and he just kind of goes, "Well, actually, if you use this plus this," and he gets into it in a nerdy way. And if you want to learn, you can fucking learn. But then everyone else that's got their hype and go, "No, my way's better." And yeah, it's like everyone prefers the smell of their own farts. Do you know what I mean? You're gonna prefer your own fucking weed. With them kind of people, we're egoic fucking creatures. So yeah, you're always going to want to say yours is better, but you need that bit of humility to then get that next level up, and that next level up. I'll never be happy. You know, I'm a decade in, and I'm going to be decades and decades and decades more, and never. Every time you go, oh, I should have left it 2 more days, 3 more days. Oh, if I'd have just given it 5% more. What if I'd have? If I'd have done a prime flush like halfway through, and I'd have dropped that deficiency out, and then I could have pushed her in. You have always.
If you ever do hypothetically have that problem, by the way, of I could have gone a few more days, just use Dragon Force. You'll never have that problem. It finishes it. But we'll do the salesman pitch at the end.
Yeah, you get time
because that's. But that's my whole thing of like, I always say I'm the world's shittiest salesman because you will never hear me badmouth another range. You'll hear me talk about ranges on pricing. So there's one big boy out there that's similar product. They keep up in the prices, and ours is half the price, half the dose 2 price rises ago. And you just think, so I'll always mention that. But in terms of actual ranges, NPK is NPK. Like I say, we all have different sources. We all have different recipes and ratios. People prefer certain ranges because they're more comprehensive. I've never ran a 3-part range other than Flora Trio back in the day, little 3-part with a bottle. So when I hear people in shops sort of like, oh, I want to get them off this onto you guys, but they're using such a thing and it's a 3-part, I'll be like, to be fair, I'll go for them customers because I'd rather get a 2-part over to a 2-part. If you're looking for something to swap over from that, I can recommend a few 3-part.
A lot of people who will be on lower, if you use that terminology, in the part ranges are going to be more likely to stick with a low part range than go up. And if they do, they're then going to feel they're having more problems. Like say, because I mean, BioBiz, I've had it in the past where I typically, when I've grown, allegedly, using like 5 litre, going by 5 litres, full range 5 litres, and then you boom, 18 months to 2 years, depending on the cycle of how big a fucking size you're using. But then when I've ran down to literally just having grow, bloom, and top max or whatever, you're still finishing the plant. The plant still is finishing through. Like you say, it might be a bit slow and you have to kind of vary in your doses. Like you can look at it 2 days after you've just given it 30 and go, oh, actually, I'm going to give that 25 mil.
It needs a bit more next time.
And then, yeah, and you can figure it out, like you said, from the weight, from the depth and richness of the color of the plant. You know, once you get really into it, you don't even have to necessarily know the names of each part of the plants here, guys. You don't have to really like become academically educated. Just learn your craft, learn how to grow for you, because ultimately it should be your need you're satisfying first. If when you open your jar and smell your weed and you go, whoa, you've won. Fuck when anybody else says.
In it.